Hello everyone, it's Amy, and welcome back to week 17 of the new Build Your Stash and Craft series. This week we are going to make a bow maker so that we can make bows of different sizes and different types for our projects. So what we picked up was, we picked up a little saw, some sandpaper, and a wide tooth comb. So what we're going to do is just take this comb out of its packaging. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find the center of the comb. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm coming in from each side. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is the center of our comb. These last two here, these are in the middle. The middle is actually this gap. We are going to take these two tines out of our comb. Now you could just do one. I prefer a bigger gap because we're going to need to use that gap. And you could even use it the way that it is. But for a dedicated bow maker, this is how we're going to do it. If you want to just use some kind of a comb you have at home because you need to make a few bows, then you don't have to do that, but you're going to have a little bit of a problem tying your knot. So I'm going to see, I got the saw to do some gaps, but I wonder how well the saw will. Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it's these two right here. Wondering if our saw will cut those out. I don't think so. I think what we're going to do is just take our pliers and carefully kind of bend that back and forth and see if we can bend it out of there. Now, I always used to use a saw to cut it out, but they were more rubbery kind of combs. I don't know how to exactly say it. They were plastic, but this is a really hard plastic, and I'm afraid I'm going to snap it. And I didn't think about that when I bought it, and it was the only one this size that they had. Okay, it's bending decently without snapping, so I really want to get right down towards the very bottom, and there we go. That did work really well. We've got that one out of there. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one. Sorry about that. When your brain gets older, you have to like check and double check. Okay, so I'm going to get right down there towards the bottom and just carefully, and I'm just carefully bending it because I don't want to just try and snap it really fast and maybe snap my comb in half because that would really defeat the purpose. And I don't have another one, so that really would not be good. There we go. And that one snapped off. Okay, now the reason we got the sandpaper was for two things. If this is super sharp, to sand that off. And actually, it really is not very sharp. But just maybe run a little bit of sandpaper. What is this one? I think that's for something different. I just want to... There's all different grits in these packages as far as I know. Let's just get it out of here and see. Alrighty. That is 150, 100, 80. Okay. So when you look at the grit of sandpaper, this one is 80, and this one is 150. And what that means is there's like, it's like the, basically the higher the number, the finer the grit. So, and I think of it as they're kind of smaller and closer together in order to fit 150 little bits of sanding, whatever it is, sand, in the same space as 80 little bits of sand. So the 80 bits are going to be bigger because they're going to take up exactly the same amount of space as 150 of them on here. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but so we want kind of a heavy grit to kind of see what we've got here. And a good thing to do would be to just take a pencil, anything, And this is why, you know, your sanding blocks are kind of nice. I don't use them that often, but because our sanding block, well, and for this, it might fit in there. I don't know. I also don't know what I did with it. It's here somewhere, but I don't know where I put it. So I'm just going to kind of sand those edges just so that they're not sharp. And like I said, they really kind of weren't. So if they're not sharp for you, you don't have to necessarily do that. But it is smoother. Okay, so and then what we're going to do is on each end, we're going to come in and we're going to saw on an angle, kind of from somewheres around the corner towards the center. Just an angle. There's no exact spot to put it. Just hold your saw at an angle and hold your comb at an angle. And then keep your fingers out of the way. And the biggest thing is just start slow. Don't try and take great big huge sweeps. I mean, you can, but if you just kind of start slow, and you don't want to go too far, because what we're going to do, and I'll show you in just a second, we're just cutting a groove into our plastic. And an angle works best because it's going to hold our ribbon better. Okay, so now can you see that we've cut it on an angle just like that? Now that's a quite skinny groove, plus the fact of we've got all of this sanding plastic that's still stuck here. So we're just going to use our sawdust or our sandpaper to get rid of that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our sandpaper and put it in that groove. Because, and that we want to, that's why we needed the sandpaper and not our sanding block. We want to make that groove smooth. So I'm going to put it in there and I'm going to pull it kind of like around the edge of this groove right here. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to pull it around the edge there. Because I just don't want those edges to be sharp. And I'm going to do the same thing here, pulling it, oops, pulling it around the edge there, or sanding the edge of it here, and then over here too. And the little spots where your ribbon's going to first go in. Okay, so now, in doing this, I can feel that it's kind of rough here. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a, there we go. All right, now we're going to take a piece of our ribbon and we're going to see if it's going to snag. So I'm going to take my ribbon, because this is kind of a silky type ribbon. It's going to snag the worst out of anything you do. So I'm going to just put it on there and see if it's catching anywhere, and it's not. So that one is good. And we'll just really quickly do this side also. And you don't even have to have two of them. I normally only use one. And sometimes I don't use them at all. But they're really nice to have there when you need them. So go ahead and put them in there. Just as an in case. Okay, and then I definitely want to get this end part here. There we go. Yeah, it still feels quite rough on the outside. And when you're sanding it too, it's going to widen that slot up just a little bit, which also helps. So take our ribbon, put it in there, and it doesn't feel like it's going to catch. Okay, so those are now nicely sanded. This is nicely sanded also. So this is what we're going to do now, is we're going to make some bows. And there's so many ways you can do this. So, and the first time that I learned to make these, it took me a really long time to remember how to do it. So if you make your bow maker, and then you're like, oh, I don't remember how to do that one, or I don't remember how to do it at all, or whatever, just go back and watch it. As a matter of fact, I went back and watched one of my old videos because I had to remember how to do it because I haven't done it in such a long time. Now, you can use, this is a strip of fabric. This is the hem off of one of the pieces that we bought, and we cut it up to make this fabric, and so I kept the hem. We got some yarn. We have some of our dyed string, dyed with the dye, dyed with paint, and then we've got some ribbon. So you can use anything at all to make your ribbons. So let's start with something that's easy to see. Okay, let's start with this one. Now, what you can do is leave your ribbon on the reel so you'll know where to cut it when you're done. You don't have to cut it ahead of time if it's a long piece. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your ribbon, and I'm going to kind of fold it in half and just kind of stick it in there so it will stay. And then just hold your ribbon down right there. Now, like I said, a lot of times what I do instead of doing that is I just put it over here, and I'm right-handed, so I use my right hand to wrap things. If you're left-handed and you want to use your left hand to wrap things, just hold it with your right hand and then use your left hand to do your wrapping. You know, there's not a right or wrong way to go. All right, so you put it in your little gap to hold it, and, you know, like I said, you might need to fold it or something because this is so silky. I'm going to just hold on to it, because to me, that's the easiest way. Now, you want enough of a tail that you can tie a knot. So don't make a little teeny tiny tail, or you're not going to have enough to tie a knot, which that is a good reason to kind of go in over here, because then you definitely have enough to tie that knot without, you know, like accidentally shortening it up too much. So now you even still want to hold on to that. Even once you've tucked it in there, just hold on to that. And then you decide what size bow you want. Do you want your bow to be this wide or this wide or this wide? However wide you want your bow, that is how wide you wrap it. And then you wrap it on the same tine on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go around there. And we're just going to make a single bow. So what we're going to do now is, because we've got everything wrapped, this is our tail for this side, this is our other tail, so we're just going to cut that now right there. And here they are. Thought I lost my scissors. Okay, so we're just going to cut that there. Now, this is the one you just came over with. You're going to take the one that you have tucked in, or the one you were holding, your original bit of ribbon, and you're just going to, because this goes over, you're going to go over that piece of ribbon, and then you're going to come through, slide that all up just a little bit. We're going to come right through the hole, and my ribbon's in the way. Hold on a second. We're going to just retighten it just so that you can, you know, see that if it gets loose or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to slide it up just a little bit, and I'm doing that while holding it tight so that I can get to the hole easier. Okay, so this was our last piece. This is the piece we started with. We're going to go over top, because we're getting ready to tie a knot. We're going to go over top and come back through the back. Just like that. And then we're going to tie those two together. And that's as easy as it is to make a bow. You don't even have to tie a double knot. It holds well. If you have something that's super slippery, you may want to. While it's still on the bow maker, sometimes it's easier to cut your tails while you've got it on there. So you just decide what kind of cut you want. And go ahead and you can cut it while it's on there. You can also kind of use your tines to measure how long do I want each tail to be, which I don't know what I did with that one, but okay. So this one, see, is longer than this one, but you know, it all just depends on what you want. Now, also, do you want your bows, your tails to just be out like that, or do you want them to hang down? I find it easier if I want them to hang down to hold the knot, and while it's on the bow maker, because it's much more solid and, you know, your loops are staying out of the way. So if I want them to hang down, I pull on them while it's on the bow maker. Just hold that knot and give them a pull. And then when you pull it off, they're facing down. Give it a little bit of a poof. And there you go. There is our bow. Now, the nice thing about using the bow maker is when you pull on them, whoops, they're not going to come apart. Pull on the loops, they're not going to come apart. Pull on one loop, you can adjust it a little bit, but it's pretty tight. It's not going to just come apart. So, you know, that's what really makes them, you know, nice, is that they're really great to use. Okay, so let's just do another type then. Let's do, yarn is great, but it's kind of hard to see when it's done. Okay, so we've done that. Let's use this twine right here. Okay, I'm going to show you before we, let's do a couple more bows. Let's use some of this ribbon here. Whoops. Well, that's not good. Okay. Now, these are just short bits of ribbon that I got from when we did our thrift store shopping a while back. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in there. Excuse me. Okay, and now I'll do a double bow. So I'm going to go over the first one. So my bow is only going to be that wide. Okay, but I want 2 loops on my bow. So now I'm going to go over, you can go over the first one and it will be that wide and they're going to be right on top of each other, or you can go over the second one or the third one. I'm going to go over the second one. So I went around the first one. Let's do that again just so you can see it. Okay, we're going to do a double bow. So we start out like this, go around the first one and back around the first one. Then I'm going to go around the second one and over here around the second one. And then I am going to take my tail out, go over top of the bow, come back through the hole, and tie my tails together. And it's really nice to be able to set it right on the table and it's holding everything in place, and all you have to hang on to is your tails. Also, a hint is when you're tying it, make sure that your knot gets in the center, because you really can't move that knot well once you have made it tight. So if you're way to one side or the other, just kind of move it over a bit before you tighten the knot. And then also, like the other one, this one, you know, I pulled down the things, but they kind of went right back to this way, right back to the side. So as I tighten the knot, that's when it's best to, I'm going to pull them both down here like this, and then tighten up that knot with them being at the bottom like this. And then give them a good pull. And they're pretty much a good length, except I just want a little angle on them. And then just pull it off. And so now we have a double bow, a smaller loop inside of a bigger loop. Just like that. Actually, probably you should pull the smaller one out the top, but probably will look better that way. So that's a double loop, and I'm going to call this like a nested double bow, because the one is nested inside the other. Okay, then you can do a layered double bow. We'll do it with this red one. Okay, so to layer them on top of each other, this one is inside. Got a mess here. So we've got this one and we've got this one. Okay, so to make that one is nested inside. This one we're going to layer it on top. So we're going to start with our ribbon over on this side. I don't know if this ribbon really has a front or a back to it. Whoops. Okay. And if you'll notice too, this ribbon is twisted right here. I twisted that when I knotted it, so it's not flat. That wasn't the bow maker's fault. That was my fault. So just twist it back to where it should be so that they're both flat like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to hold it here. And to make a layered bow, we're going to, let's start with number 1. So we're going to go through the first, around the first rung, like this, just like we always do. Now, instead of going around the same way, because that will put this one inside, I am going to go behind the second one. And let's see, do I want it to only stick out? You can look at it this way, because this is the front of your bow. Do I just want that one to be just that much longer than my center? I think I want to go over to here to make it a little longer. So instead of going around the second, I'm going to go around the third. Then I'm going to come back over here. And again, 1, 2, 3, go around the third from this side. Oops, did that the wrong way. I'm going to come backwards. Go through and come back around as long as you want it. There we go. Now, it looks like this in the front, which means these loops are going to be behind this one. So they'll be layered on top of each other. So now I am going to, because just like when we started before, this one is crossing over this one. So I'm going to take this one, go around the front, come back through the hole, and it's going to kind of, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to snip that so that it's not in my way. And this is really a nice way to not like try and decide, do I need 12 inches of ribbon or 14 inches of ribbon to make this bow? Just leave it on the reel and, you know, you'll be just fine. Okay, so I wrapped that one around, came out the front, and so now we need to tie these two together. And again, I'm going to want to make sure that the knot is in the middle. Like that. And I want to bring that knot towards the bottom. So nice and tight. Pull it down. And give it a little bit of a trim. Whoop. There we go. And now slide it off our bow maker, and now you have a layered. Each one, and the thing is, you can layer it as many times as you want. Let's do it with this. I'm not sure if it will be easier to see or not. Maybe not. Okay. But it's smaller, so it will be easier for you to kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's make 3 or 4 layers. So let's go. I'm going to go around the first one. So I'll have a little tiny center bow. And then I am going to, instead of going around, I am going to come from the back and go around that one and come back out. I'm going to go frontwards. I don't know how to say it. Okay, then I am going to come over here and I want to go around this one, but I'm not going around. I'm not making a loop. I'm kind of making an S is what I'm doing, or a figure 8. So I'm going to go around that one and come back this way. Okay, oops. Alrighty. And see, this is where that comes in handy to hold on to that for you. I'm going to come over here and kind of try and keep them on top of each other as you go. It does make them look nicer when you're done. It doesn't have to be perfect, but okay, so now I've done that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go make that kind of like the first half of a figure 8 on the third one, then come over here and kind of make the other piece of the figure 8. So that's 3 layers. Let's do another one. Go around here, number 4, and then come over here and go around number 4. just like that. And is that enough? It's awfully big. That's probably enough. So we're going to just stop right there. Okay, so now this one is coming across where we started. I'm going to take that one, go up over the top, back through the hole in the bottom. And I'm going to cut that off to make it easier to deal with. Give it a pull. Make sure before I make it too tight, I'm a little bit far over. I don't really want it way over there. There we go. And if you really want to, you can put that second knot in there. It's not going to hurt anything. Or like I said, if you have, especially if you're using some kind of like a silky embroidery floss or something that's very fine and silky, second knot doesn't hurt anything. Let's cut off these tails. And maybe doing it white was not the smartest thing to do. But, you know, sometimes you have to give them just a touch of adjustment, just as you do any other bow that you make. But there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So isn't that cool? And this side is a little better than this side. Like I said, you know, you can just adjust them a little bit. This one just needs to be brought down under the third one because when I did the knot, I kind of pulled it up over the edge. But there we go. So you can make layered bows. You can make nested bows. You can make regular bows. And I'm going to show you how to make a butterfly because I like butterflies. And this is a nice way to make them. Now, if I can remember. All right, so I'm just going to use some string. I'm going to use this string. All right, so I'm going to start over here. Tuck it in there. All right, for the butterfly, I am definitely going to start in the middle because I don't want it to be too big. So I'm going to go around, and this is going to be a nesting bow, or I mean a stacked bow. So we're going to go around one time, and then we're going to go to number 2 and put it around the front. Come over here, number 2, put it around the front, kind of like that figure 8 we were talking about. And then go over here and do number 3. And come back over here, go around the front like that for number 3. And there we go. You need 3 wraps. And to me, using 1, 2, and 3 tines makes a really good butterfly. So I'm going to cut this off. That was too long, really. It didn't need it that long. Okay, I'm going to untuck this. All right, so we've brought the last one over top of here. This one goes around the top. Sorry. Go around the top, back through the hole. Just like every other time. Set it down. Make sure that you're in the middle. And tie them together. Now, for the butterfly, I do tie twice, and I am going to tie them. I want the knot a little bit to the bottom. I don't want the knot on the back. I want the knot at the bottom. Okay, so I just kind of pulled it around there. And I am going to put one more knot there. There we go, just like that. And that's just for a reason. So let's get that nice and tight. Give it a pull. Trim it while it's on here. One just a little longer than the other, so just hold your scissors at an angle. And just because that's the way I like to do it sometimes. All right, now we're going to take it off. There we go. See, it's a butterfly. All you got to do is flip it over. And then what you're going to do, and I usually set it down because it's easier for me to do it this way. I take the largest loops, which are in the back. I take the largest loop and pull it up. Come over here, take the largest loop, whoops, just kind of holding down on my knot. Take the large loop and pull it up. And then I take the middle loop and I kind of put the middle loop on top of the large loop. And then I take the smallest loop and I pull it down. Now, this does take a little bit of adjusting till you get what you're looking for. So I'm going to pull that one up, and this twine is super stiff because this is our painted twine. But to a certain extent, once I get it adjusted the way that I want it, the stiffness is actually going to be a benefit for me. While I'm adjusting it, the stiffness is, is kind of holding it back a little bit, making me kind of pull and tug a little bit more. There we go. Get these tiny ones to come down. Okay. And I'm only pulling the big ones up so far and the little ones down so far, just to kind of train them where I want them to be. They're actually all going to be right here on each side together. Just like that. And so that really is a butterfly. Isn't that pretty? I really like making these. And like I said, can I adjust that just a touch? Here we go. You can make them with any type of strips of fabric, strips of, lace or ribbon or string or twine. And there's just so many different ways. You can try it all out and just really play around with it. I'm sure that, you can try wrapping it. The thing is, try really paying attention to what you're wrapping as you're wrapping, so that if you make something and you really like it, you'll be able to write it down quick as to what you just did. So it's like, oh, twine 3, back and forth, however you want to do it. Like you could do a nested bow. In here, just some that I practiced with before I came on here, because like I said, if you don't do it in a long time, you can forget. Oh, one piece of ribbon on top of another. That's what this one is. It's just a regular plain one bow. But it's one piece. And see, this is one where I got my knot not in the middle. So see, this loop is a lot smaller than that one. Well, maybe not a lot smaller, but that was because I did not get my knot in the middle. I put my knot over to that edge, and that made that side smaller. So, but yeah, you can just make all different sorts of things. And like I said, here's another butterfly. See, that one I had more time to really kind of play with and just, get it where I wanted it. Where this one has not quite been fiddled with enough. But, it's your own imagination. It's your own project. You can do it, however you want to do it. And once you get it done, and if you think, I don't want it to move or something, you can always put a touch of glue on there if you want to hold those in a certain place or whatever. But I love how those little butterflies turn out. I think that they're so cute. And I love the bows. And that one was just literally taking one piece of ribbon and another piece of ribbon and holding them together. Yeah, I have enough time to mess with it. Okay, that piece is really... Okay, so you'll take your ribbon, layer them up on top of each other, put them in to hold them, and then I'm just going to go around the number 2 tine, come back around the number 2 tine, and then I am going to make sure before I do my knot and everything that I put this one, see here, I'm in the middle, but as I came around the back, I let it fall down. So I'm just going to make sure that I put that back in the middle, because wherever it is when I tie it, that's where it's going to stay. So there we go, because this is the front of your bow. Always remember that the back of what you're doing is going to be the front of your bow. Okay, so we're just going to go around like that. I'm going to cut that off. Get that out of the way. Okay, this was just a regular bow. So I went around, came down here. And now I am going to take this one. And if I go like this, the front of my bow is going to be solid green. But I can go ahead, holding this where it's at over here, and I can twist this to bring it around so that the front of my bow is striped. And actually, I kind of like the solid green better, but we'll do it this way so you can see it, because the solid green is just the natural way that you would wrap it. It would wind up green on the front. So we gave that a twist, bringing it through here. Ooh, now it half twisted on the front. And I didn't do that on purpose, but I think I'm going to leave it and we're going to see what that looks like, because I think that's going to look cool. Oh, I think as I pull it, it's going to get, we'll see. I don't think we're going to see that half twist. I think it's going to be too tight. Need to tie a knot with both of them. That's a little bit fiddly. Where's it? There it is. Okay, so I've got both of them on each side. I'm going to start to pull it and find where my center is. Now I can turn it over and see what that looks like. And if I want, I can try and adjust it a little bit before I tighten that knot. So I want to try and pull this green here. Just kind of want to try and fold that back a little bit. Like that. And let's see what that does once, uh-oh, I took it off. And you really do kind of want to keep it on there while you're trying to tie it, because that's what lets you get it so tight. There we go. Because I twisted that, it also twisted this part. And there we go. So now we have a kind of a double color. And pull that over so it's kind of the same as the rest. Green, silver, green. But there we go. And then what will we do? Because I kind of twisted that to get those aside, I'm going to take my silver ones and pull them towards the center. Oh, and what's really cute too is to and you can use glue for this stuff too. Pull your silver ones down. And then take your wider one and put it out to the edge like this. And that looks really cute to kind of do it like that. So the wide one is sticking out under the bow, and then you've got your silver ones coming down this way. Like that. So there we go. These are just some of the things that you can make. You can play around with different ways, but the bow maker really is an easy way to just take some ribbon. You can even take your scraps of ribbon and just, make some bows and make some bows. I mean, a few of these were done before we got here, but most of these we just did in a very short period of time, and we made the bow maker before we even made the bows. So it's really is an easy way. And like I said, if you get your bow maker done and then you come back, or you're thinking, oh, now I don't remember which way to wrap it, or you wrap it. Like I was trying to make one and I was wrapping it. I don't know what I was doing now, because now I know how to do it now. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but somehow when I was wrapping it to tie the knot, maybe instead of going over and then coming back through the hole, I might have went through the hole first or something. Anyways, every time I tied it, it came untied. And it was like, what the heck? This is not supposed to happen. So I had to go back and watch my video to check it out. So that is a really easy bow maker. I hope that you enjoyed this project. I really do like, I like making up some bows like this sometimes and just throwing them in a little container. Clear containers are really good so that you can see what you've got. If you put things in places that you can't see in and it's not well marked, sometimes it's hard to find what you're looking for. So if you do small containers, small clear containers work really good. And for next week, we are going to need some from the Dollar Tree, a foam board, and just because we already have some ribbon and lace and stuff, but maybe some ribbon and some lace, or some kinds of twine or something like that. And then out of our stash, we are going to need some of our dyed fabrics. These are the ones that we dyed. This one is coffee dyed. I don't know if I did that one on... No, actually, I think that's painty. I think that's brown paint. But these are the ones we did with the markers. And I just made some more because I wanted them for something. And this one is like green and brown marker. And so, you know, you can always like, I did it green first because I didn't want those colors to mix. I did the green first and then I did some brown. And like I said, that's watercolor paper, watercolor fabric. I did some of the lace tablecloth that we had, cut it up in strips. So we're going to need strips of fabric, pieces, you know, strips of yarn, ribbon, lace. So we are going to pick up a foam core board and 3 things of ribbon, lace, or twine from the Dollar Tree. So that will make it $5. So we're going to spend $5 for next week. And if you don't want to buy any more ribbon, lace, or twine, so long as you have some, that's fine. Try and get some colors that you like together because we're going to use them all together. So that's what we will need for next week. Foam board and some ribbon or twine or lace. So thank you very much for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and I hope that if you make these, that you really enjoy making them, because I know that I do. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.